It's time now for the Tom Lacey Sports Show on Hometown Radio, WIRY, and here's your host, Tom Lacey.
First of all, good morning to everyone. If you're up, a lot of hunters out there, so I'm sure you don't have your radio on while you're hunting, although I think Shane Parliament does have his radio on when he hunts out there. So, Shane, if you can hear me, don't get a buck today, okay? I know you're out there. So, at any rate, we have two outstanding guests today. Two outstanding. It's about time both of these guys came in because they do so much for the North Country, and they're very successful. And both track and field. We don't get track and field people in here. It's mostly basketball because that's one of the things I played, and I've been hearing some people saying, let's start getting these two individuals in here. In fact, I've heard it for a while now. So we got them in here. The first one is Chris Verkey. He's the head coach at Saranac. There's some things I have to get a little bit out of him. If he's coaching the girls and the boys, I'll ask him all that. And I know he does indoor and outdoor, and I wasn't sure also if he does cross country, but we'll find those things out. And our second guest is going to be Brett Willmott, who is the strength and conditioning coach at Plattsburgh State. I believe he's the assistant track and field coach. I can find a little bit more about that. And the one thing I do know that he did coach in the Olympics, track and field. So we got some good questions for these guys on track and field, and some things that have happened, and also some lanes that you might want to be starting out in, lanes that you don't want to start in. And Coach Verkey and I were just discussing one of them, and he made some great points. But first of all, let's find out, Chris, just talk about yourself, your family, everything, right now, and then we'll get into the school.
All right. So I am Chris Verkey, and like you said, I coach at Saranac High School, native of the North Country for most of my life. My father, Don Verkey, as you know, moved to the area to go to college in the 70s. He was a basketball player at Plattsburgh State. My mom, Patricia Verkey, she is with the Lord right now after a long battle with Alzheimer's. My sister, Samantha, is the Keysville Elementary School principal. And, that's the local family ties. I attended St. John's Academy for middle school, an elementary school, and Seton Catholic Central, class of 96 for high school.
Mm-hmm. Okay. As far as at Saranac, how many years again have you been at Saranac?
This is year 19.
Approximate 19.
Yeah,
okay.
Year 19.
And you're doing indoor and outdoor, and boys and girls, or just boys?
Yes. Yep. Boys and girls, indoor and outdoor track and field. Yep. I know. I did cross country for a year.
Wow.
In between a little stint of football, I coached modified football for a few years, and then did a year of cross country, and then those kids that I coached on modified were now on varsity. I moved up to varsity and did a year on the varsity team under Coach Burrell. I worked with the offense and with Dave Beatrice, a Peru alum as well.
Okay, yep.
Back in, I think that was 2010. And then things got a little crazy coaching 3 sports, going from August to June every year. So I started a family, and I thought that was the time where I'm going to step away from one sport, and it was the fall. So, but since then, I have continued to coach indoor and outdoor from November to June. So still had a lot of time there. But
okay, we're going to go on an approximate number of sectional championships because it's hard to pinpoint all of them going back. I think it's he's won 11 consecutive sectional outdoor championships with the boys, and possibly 7 to 8 indoor with the boys as well. And the girls have won every year, indoor and outdoor, since he's been coaching them since 2020. That's just flat out amazing. You know what that tells you? That tells you a lot about respect. And I could see it every once in a while. I'll pop into a practice, maybe going to see the athletic director, and these kids are working so hard, and they really love their coach. I could see that too, and he's definitely one of the most respected coaches in the area. A lot of people I hear that don't even coach track and field said if he was coaching basketball, if he was coaching football, he'd be one of the best without a doubt. And so he's got high praise from so many people out there. And, just to have him at Saranac, Coach Brent Dennis has to be happy about that. Approximately how many of your athletes are participating in college track and field, or have, and maybe who is the most successful, if you can remember? That might be putting you out there.
First off, thank you for those kind words. That's greatly appreciated. Those were some high praise. I probably right now I think, I probably have about 8 kids right now that are in colleges throughout New York State. We have one at Alfred University. We have quite a few, 4 or 5 at Plattsburgh State currently. You spoke about successful last year. Brexton Montville was a very good athlete at Plattsburgh State. He graduated from our program in 2019. He was very successful. Cameron Duffield was an incredible athlete for us. He was a state champion 400 hurdler. He went on to UAlbany, got a full scholarship there. He was actually the America East 60 hurdle champion as a freshman. And then COVID happened. He never ended up going back to college. He is a successful businessman now out west. But we've had the LePage brothers both. They attended UMaine and UNH. Justin Lichty was an incredible athlete for us. He graduated in, I believe, 2014 and had a really successful career at UVM. Ended up being
Division I. Yes.
Ended up being a multiple school record holder for that program in Vermont.
How's the outdoor looking this year?
Pretty good. Indoor, we just started indoor on Monday, so we, our first week we usually do some testing and kind of athletic ability testing and things of that nature to see incoming athletes, see what maybe where they would fit, try to kind of find the best fit for our new athletes. It also gives our returners a chance to kind of see where they are, after whatever they did in the fall or they didn't do in the fall. It gives us a baseline data for when we start to do our workouts and things of that nature. But
how about field events? How are you going to be doing for field events?
On the girls' side, we should be doing very strong. We return the greatest high jumper in Section 7 history, and Grace Damiani.
Oh my gosh, I did not know that.
Yep, she's the indoor and outdoor section record holder. We have a strong long jump group, triple jump group as well, senior laden. Couple great athletes there. On the boys' side, we return some good high jumpers too. We had a 6'4" guy last year, Landon, and also he's one of our best long jumpers too. And we should do pretty well. Peru is going to be very, very, very good on the boys' side.
How close did they come to you last year?
Last year indoors, I believe we only scraped by 8 points.
Oh my gosh!
It was a it was a battle.
People don't realize how competitive it gets out there, and it comes down to just sometimes the very last event.
Yep, and that was the case again. We 2 years ago we lost to Beekmantown by a few points, and it literally came down to the last event. Yep, and how our triple jumpers were competing. The whole meet was over there watching the triple jump because it came down to the very last event. But as you know, in sports, just because of the schedule, it may be the last event, but those other 15 events that occurred before it were just as important to get you to that point. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, while at Plattsburgh State, well, we'll get back to your high school too, because there's so much to discuss on that.
Sure.
But you're a 3-time All-American at Plattsburgh State in track and field, and it was a sophomore when you won the national championship.
Yep.
And what made you, from freshman to going to sophomore, what really pushed you forward to become just... You just probably worked harder, right?
Yeah, I mean...
Did you have a goal of possibly winning?
That was well beyond what I ever could have imagined. As a freshman coming in, I came from Section 7, which is actually probably the smallest section in New York State. And I did have success for 2 years in Section 7. So going into college, you kind of... you only know what you know. I only had experience really in Section 7, so I wasn't even the best hurdler on my team in college. I was, third probably for most meets on my team as a freshman. The work could have been better. I could have worked harder for sure as a freshman. You make some freshman mistakes as well. When making my schedule, I had a class that would interfere with practice once a week. I wasn't as serious in the weight room or going the extra mile with nutrition and, those types of things. And coming into my sophomore year, I had an extremely good leader on our team. Matt LaPiccolo is his name.
Oh, yeah.
Currently coaches at Duke University. He was a senior when I was a sophomore. Great leader. He made us a hype video before the season started because one of his goals was to win a SUNYAC championship in the 4x400 relay.
Were you in that?
I was, yep. So he made us, a video, and that got me really excited, and we started the season in August. When everybody gets back to school, and the first week we're already out, unofficially, of course, doing workouts and in the weight room. And I had another senior on our team, Mike Schmidt was his name. He's a wonderful leader of men as well. He's the head coach at the University of Redlands in California, and he is extremely successful at the Division III level. He coached multiple All-Americans and. Long story short, but so those two guys were on my team, and they really had the most to do with me taking the next step my sophomore year. Whether it was the daily life of being at workouts, Mike would be the guy. You need to do this better. You need to do this. You need to do this, and then in the weight room, put more weight on, do this, try, so those two guys were a huge impact on the motivation for me to get better my sophomore year. And
do you think it was the steps from your freshman to your sophomore year? Because I know that in the 400 hurdles, just from watching it in the Olympics, you have to have those steps perfect.
Yep. So indoor, my sophomore year was a big breakout for me. I started to win events at invitationals, and I ended up making it to the indoor national championship, and this was a big moment, making it to indoor nationals, and I had the fastest guy in the nation. I drew him in my heat, and I wasn't one of the top seeds. I can't remember. I might have been in the top 10, but unfortunately back then only 6 athletes qualified for finals. So I believe they brought 16 or 18 guys to the national championship, and so the winner of each heat advanced to the final, and then the next fastest on times. And so I went out and I sat on the guy who was the number 1 seed, trying to think he's going to pull me in to a great time. And coming down the last stretch, I thought I was in perfect position to advance, and out of nowhere, this guy dives at the line and beats me by 1/100th of a second. So
oh my gosh!
You can't even see that, from the naked eye. That was, a camera breakdown type thing, and so I was, 7th. I didn't make it into the final, and if you make it into the final, you're automatically an All-American. So I literally missed being an All-American my first time at the national championship by 1/100th of a second. And
you didn't see him coming, right?
I did not see him at all the whole race. So if you want to talk about extra motivation for my outdoor season in my sophomore year, that was definitely the extra motivation that was necessary for me. And it kind of came in. We had a couple preseason meets. I think it was over at Middlebury College. We had a meet. And it was maybe the second or third meet of the season, and I was racing in the 110 hurdles earlier that day.
How do you do in that event? I didn't. You pretty good in that too?
I was pretty good in that one too. That particular meet, I got outleaned at the line by 1/100th of a second from this athlete from Albany. So fast forward the meet a little bit, we have the 400 hurdles. That same athlete was in the lane in front of me. So I was, in my mind, I'm like, this isn't happening again. And I just went out really hard. And everything clicked. Because I just went out so hard. And as you mentioned before, your steps are extremely important in the 400 hurdles. And that was the first time in my career where everything came together. I 13 stepped through the first 6 hurdles, which is pretty much, that's like the format that Edwin Moses perfected, was the 13 step. Like I said, I made it through 6 hurdles. I didn't make it through all 10 like those guys can. But for that first 250 meters, everything clicked. I hit every hurdle in stride. Ended up beating that athlete that day, and
pretty good. Did you
my
beat
surprise,
him by?
Yeah, it was a pretty good margin. And to my surprise, I see all these people running over towards me, and my coaches have their hands up, and I'm like, what happened? And I ended up running like a 52-second race, and that put me up into the top 3 in the nation. That race, and so that right there was kind of the biggest. That was the breakout right there.
And that was at Middlebury, correct?
That was at Middlebury, yep. And from there, just, this sounds even crazier, but I had only run the 400 hurdles 3 times that year before the national championship. So, on other meets, I'd run like the 400 and the 200 and the 110 hurdles, and just do prep work races. And then I had 2 other races before the national championship. One was at Springfield College, and then one was we went to a big invitational in Berea, Ohio, at Baldwin Wallace University. Mostly a it was like a tune-up meet, kind of like a last chance meet for, it was like right before nationals, so kind of a last chance to qualify before nationals, and I ended up running. That would end up being the best time of my career. I ran a 51.3 that day.
Oh my God!
As a tune-up before nationals, and that catapulted me up to being the number 1 seed in the nation. That meet.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I said, we had spoken about, you saw one of my races when I was out in lane 9, and that was the national semifinal, where I randomly drew lane 9 in the semifinals. And as a hurdler, it can be a lot to be in lane 9 because peripherally you don't see anybody. If you're running your race correctly, you literally don't see anybody the whole race because they're all behind you.
Why is lane 1 tougher then?
Lane 1 is tougher for a variety of reasons. I was a left leg lead leg guy, so my inside leg would be coming down closer to the rail. So it was just it's a lot harder as well because everybody's in front of you. So, so in essence, it puts you at a mental disadvantage because in your mind, you're like, I got to go get these guys. And that might throw your steps off. Your stride pattern could be affected greatly if you're trying to chase, right out of the gates. And so
let's before the big race, the championship race, you're flying out to, where was the meet at now?
The meet was in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Did you you flew there, right?
Yep, we flew out
okay.
Days in advance. Yeah, we got a practice session in, I believe, before we did.
Were you thinking possibly national championship? Was that on your mind?
I had the confidence. I did after that race in Ohio, where I felt I could get the job done. Yeah, I felt that. Back then, for me being 19 years old and naive, like it was kind of, you don't want to put it on a pedestal because that's when the pressure will get you. You have to kind of just treat it as another race. The hurdles are the same spaces apart. You got to try to run the same steps in between, and just try to keep it as as calm as possible to try to go out and get it done.
Do you like to go out faster than normal, or are you a late person?
I tried to keep my first 200 the same every meet.
Okay.
So I tried to go out, at the same pace, be aggressive for the first 6 hurdles, and then kind of see what happens from there.
Of those people that were in the race, had you raced against any of them before? Did you know any of them?
I did not. I don't think I did, honestly.
Did you hear reputations of them? Did anyone scare you?
So, this is 1998, so we're living in a different time. There was no social media. There was no get on the computer, watch race videos of these guys. There was, you really just kind of showed up and raced who was on the track those days, and that's really all there was to it. So, you couldn't really, go and research and do a lot of those things. Back in the day, you just kind of showed up and
watching the video though, come across that line, you were so happy.
That was a moment for sure. A lot of hours went into that. The race is the end result, but what you don't see is the days, months, years that goes into something like that,
Yeah.
So, but yep.
I'm gonna be asking you that one question I asked you. I think during the summer. Here it goes. And my second guest is also here as well, and I'm gonna let him answer this after Chris answers it. And it's Brett Willmott, the strength and conditioning coach and track coach at Plattsburgh State, but he might crack up at this one. So, okay, Sidney McLaughlin or Chris Verkey in his prime? Chris Verkey in his prime. Who's winning that?
Ooh, man, if I think
be honest, don't be afraid to just say straight up, I'm gonna kick her butt.
I think she gets me right now, but I think if I had a chance to have the technology and the advancements of 2024 and not 1998, I think I could have been faster. So,
Okay.
The shoe technology, the nutrition technology, the training methods, there's just so much that's new now. Even the track surfaces alone are faster than there's so many advantages athletes have these days that we don't. But so
Coach
I
Willmott
think
was
it'd be close.
agreeing to all that.
Yeah.
Just to let you know.
Yeah.
But who was your MVP of the track and field Olympics? The MVP,
Olympics.
in your opinion, male or female?
Man, that's tough.
Oh, I should have asked you.
My
I did put that on there.
my opinion, I think, is kind of jaded because I'm a huge Rai Benjamin fan.
Okay.
I watched Rai Benjamin in high school. He's from Mount Vernon, New York.
What event did he run now?
400 hurdles.
Okay.
So he was the Olympic gold medalist this year, and to become
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, become the Olympic gold medalist this year, he had to knock off the world record holder. And I think that is an incredible feat in itself. And then Rai anchored the gold medal winning 4x4 team, and he ran really, really well to hold off a late charge. And
what a race that was.
That was incredible. So for me, it's Rai.
Okay. That's the, you know what? I forgot all about him.
Yeah, he's great.
Yep. But getting back to Sydney McLaughlin, she humiliated the field.
She's
so-
otherworldly talent in the event.
Yeah.
You're obviously watching history.
Who are your biggest influences? And it doesn't have to be someone in sports. It could be anyone.
I guess it would. We're talking about track and field today, and the two guys I mentioned earlier that pushed me my sophomore year, Mike Schmidt and Matt LaPiccolo, were big influences, and of course the guy sitting next to me right now, the utmost motivator and the brains of the whole operation.
Wow.
I had
That would be Brett
that's
Willmott.
Brett Willmott, absolutely, Brett Willmott. Like I said, I'm 18, 19 years old. The only thing I had to do was show up to practice.
Mm-hmm.
What do I do today, Coach? He's the master plan behind everything. He had the framework in place to get me to where I needed to go. I just had to show up and do what I was told, and that was a huge part of my success when I won as a sophomore, for sure.
Now, flying back to Plattsburgh after that national championship had to be so much fun. Just flying back and thinking, wait till my dad and mom see me, and that must have been something.
That was a sleepless night for sure. So,
Yeah.
It was great. We, after that, I kind of walked around St. Paul, Minnesota for a little while. Just stayed up late. Sat in the hot tub because I couldn't do that for a little while before.
Yeah.
Just relaxed and had some cheat meals and and it was the flight back. Some sleep there, but most people don't know this, but my uncle at the time owned a funeral home, and Jeff Chabot. And, he picked me up from the airport in a limo with a sign. So that was a funny moment too. Made me feel like the top of the world. And dropped me off at home in the limo after we got back. And
I didn't know that.
No, most people don't know that. So
Jeff's he's a funny guy and a good guy too.
Very good.
Yeah, gosh. And then you, as far as high school, let's get back to high school a little bit. Who was your toughest competitor, like in the 400 or whatever races that you were in? You probably had to do so many, but there had to be a real good track person back then.
For me as an athlete? Yeah, there was in the high hurdles when I was younger. There was an athlete from Beekmantown. His name was Keith Casca. He was an extremely good hurdler. And after he graduated, I believe went undefeated in Section 7 in the 110 hurdles and the 400 hurdles my junior senior year. But Keith was another guy who was a motivating, guy that I always wanted to try to be like and to try to chase. Was Keith. He was very good. But yeah. And
did he go on to run in college?
I'm not really sure actually if he did or not.
How was it attending a private religious school? Was it a little different than the public? Well, did you go to public school at all?
I never went to a public school.
Okay.
No, I went to a private school, elementary school all the way up through my senior year. I've taught in 3 different public schools.
Okay, but what's the differences that you see?
It's pretty similar, honestly. The one thing added was just the religious aspect,
Sure.
That was pretty much it, but everything else was pretty standard to a normal high school. And, when you're in the moment, you don't really appreciate it as much, but in retrospect, I liked my high school career, and I thought it was a good placement for me.
Who else recruited you? Anyone else recruit you?
I got some letters from some colleges, Lehigh, Bucknell, some other SUNY schools. I was really not the most mature in high school. Like, I was more of like, okay, what do I do next? Like, somebody tell me what to do type thing. Like, I didn't really have my eyes set on going, away in college, or like what pretty much what was going to happen next. I wasn't really thinking about that. I really was a person living in the moment. I wasn't as forward planning as I know is important today. But so I kind of waited until late into my senior year, and just decided that I was gonna stay home and stay at Plattsburgh State. So,
and Plattsburgh State, people don't realize how great of an institution it really is. There's no doubt. I mean, the years, and not just sports. I think nursing is one of the best that we have here. And are there other ones that are really stand out? If they are, let me know what they are.
Yeah, I think the
education
program is good as well, for sure.
Outstanding school to attend.
But yeah,
it's my alma mater too. And the hockey program, national championships in that, the women's hockey program, national championships. Has there been any other individual national champions other than yourself?
Actually, Andy Hastings.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
which
is
local. Another pretty amazing story. I don't know. We got time here?
Yeah.
Okay. So I actually graduated from Plattsburgh State with a degree in criminal justice, political science. So after college, I was coaching, and I decided that my career path wasn't going to be in that field, and I went back to Cortland to get my education degree. And long story short, I finished my degree at Cortland, and it was time to student teach. My placement teacher gave me a placement at Shaker High School in Albany, which would have worked out as well.
Was Jeff Holmes still coaching there?
I'm not sure, because I didn't end up going there. So what happened was, my host teacher was from Hudson Valley Community College, and he called me before I started my placement and said, "Hey, Chris, do you want to student teach back home?" I said, "That's not an option. They never gave me an option to do that." The closest from Cortland that they placement wise went out was the Albany area. So he said, "Well, I'm your host, instructor, and I enjoy the trip down 87. I love the scenery. I don't mind coming down to observe you. in the North Country if you would like to, go back to your home area and student teach.
Very nice.
I said I would absolutely love that, and so he reached out and asked a couple PE teachers if they would host a student teacher, and Andy Hastings from Beekman Central took me as a host teacher.
That is outstanding.
So
Andy's a great guy too.
So you had
great
two
guy.
national champions.
I didn't know. Andy, if you're listening, I'm sorry. Forgot all about you. Gosh, how can I forget about Andy?
But yep.
Man.
And talk
the
about
800.
Yep. And talk about a wonderful mentor and a wonderful man.
Mm-hmm.
I got to learn from one of the best in Andy. So,
mm-hmm. When you were at Cortland, this is kind of crazy because one of my friends did this. Joe Cardney went to. He graduated from Union College as the all-time leading scorer in basketball there. Then he went to Cornell for law school, and he decided to go out for the basketball team, after already having his 4 years. But he wore a headband. He had really lousy-looking sneakers, and, he didn't look like a basketball player at all. So, they had a tryout. They had a one day where they allowed people, anyone could try out, and Joe was killing his recruits. He was just destroying them. And finally the coach came up to him and said, "All right, Mr. Cardney, you're out of here. We found out who you are." Were you tempted at Cortland to do something like that?
Yeah. I actually, this is, I don't know if a lot of people know this either, but when you're in SUNY school, you get 4 years of eligibility for one sport.
Yeah.
But you can get a fifth year if you are doing a different sport. So I pleaded a case to the athletic director that SUNY colleges should all be under the same umbrella, and since I attended Plattsburgh State and I did my 4 years of track, that I should be eligible to play football at Cortland. And initially I thought that it was gonna happen, and met with some of the coaches, and I thought I was going to be able to go out in the spring and play. But they found the fine print, and you have to be at the same exact institution to be able to use your fifth year. So
wow,
I was a little sad, but it was,
and if everyone realizes, Cortland won the national championship last year, and Chris could play football. I mean, the North Stars, the flag football. In fact, every sport that he played, he was outstanding in, every single one. Basketball, I remember he was MVP of the playoffs, which means right there that when it came to the big event, he was going to be stepping up. So that's one compliment that you can. It's not a compliment; it's something that he's inherited probably from his father. That when it comes to go time, you're going to be ready. I remember your dad once saving a ball that the game was just about over too, and the wall, he didn't care about the wall. He saved the ball, and I felt so bad for that wall because he didn't even care. He got right up, and that was your dad, and that's a lot like you too. He taught you a lot of things like that, the no give up philosophy. So. But wow, I'm glad we had a chance to have you here.
Absolutely,
really
appreciate
do. And
it.
if you'd like to stay with your coach in college for a while, you can, and add a couple things, or if you want to take off. I think, don't you have a couple hunting excursions? No,
I'm not a hunter. No.
All right, I knew that, by the way.
No.
Okay, let's take a little break first. Okay, and then we'll get going here.
At Facette Realty, our phones are ringing off the hook. Buyers are searching, but there's just not enough inventory. Are you thinking of selling your home? Now is the perfect time. List with one of our experienced agents and take advantage of the high demand. Our skilled team will help you get the best price for your property. We provide comprehensive real estate services in Clinton, Essex, and Franklin counties. Visit FacetteRealty.com or call us at 518-324-4500 today. Don't wait. A well-qualified buyer is already looking for a home like yours.
Hey everyone, Ernie at Kia, Plattsburgh, New York. Listen, have a fantastic deal for you, and here it is. Lease a brand new 2024 Kia Forte LXS for $199 a month with $29.99 due at signing. You want more? How about 41 miles per gallon highway, 30 miles per gallon city? How about an 8-inch infotainment center with touchscreen, Bluetooth, Apple CarPlay, and Android Auto? You want more? Top this off with Kia's world-class customer service experience. And folks, I think you'll agree with me, this is a great deal. Our motto is simple. We make it easy. Kia, 52 Della Drive, Plattsburgh, New York, DellaKia.com. $29.99 due at signing. Stock number 240317. MSRP $22,235. 2024 Kia Forte LXS, $199 per month, 36 months, 10,000 miles per year, $650 acquisition fee, no security deposit required. Through Kia Motor Finance, not all buyers will qualify. Tax, title, $175 doc fee not included. Expiration date 12/4/24.
Okay, we're back, and we have a new guest. Chris Verkey is going to listen in, and this was his college coach, or who had a lot of impact on some of Chris's successes. His name is Brett Willmott, and I could tell you just firsthand from what I know about Brent, and I'm not a track and field person. Well, I take that back. I did coach track or cross country at no, I coached track and field at St. John's a long time ago. At any rate, who cares about me? But this guy is he's kind of underrated because people don't realize how good he is. He gives the best advice possible. He helps out at Adirondack Coast basketball camp, and the kids love him there. He does so many little things. He breaks it he really breaks it down for you, and he makes you a much better athlete no matter what sport it is. And right now, what is your exact? First of all, it's Brett Willmott here. And first of all, talk about your family before that next question.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Wiry, thanks for having me, Tom. You as well. I appreciate that. Talk about my family. I was fortunate enough to grow up in a household of educators, and my mother was always she was a second grade teacher for the entire term of her career, and she would always say on a Saturday like today, whether it's raining or shining, go outside and play. Whereas my father, who was a physical educator, athletic director, basketball coach, and he would fill in for whatever teams needed in a small school, much like Shazy in Western New York. It was called Elba.
Oh, yeah.
He was out doing the work on the house after a long week of coaching and managing and leading. So come to find out, a little funny side story is, now that we sit around the fireplace at family gatherings, he would say, why wouldn't you guys help me wash the car? And I said, well, because Mom said, go outside and play. So when Mom spoke, and to get away from the cartoons on a Saturday morning, that's what we did. We would climb trees and shoot hoops and run around with the neighborhood, kids. So then after this guy over here, Mr. Verkey, won his national championship, is when I attained my first head coaching job.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So because of him, that was the jewelry, so to speak, on the resume that I guess put me up against I come to find out there's a pretty good coach in line for the SUNY New Paltz job to start the program from zero.
Sure.
And so to fast forward that button, that's where I met my wife. So she was a Marist grad. Yes, she was a Marist grad. I met her online, Match.com, back when it was pretty low key and a little bit easier to navigate. So we hit it off. And
track and field runner?
No, she was originally softball, volleyball at Middletown High School.
Okay.
And she attended Marist College as a paralegal major along with Spanish. And so so she was kind of in the law world for a while, and so again, another short story, as Verk was saying earlier, we don't want to know the whole story, but so what happened was the SUNY New Paltz decided to cut the track and field program, so I came back
Really?
here. Yeah,
Oh.
I came back here. She said, "Yep, I'll go with you," and she abandoned basically the law world, and now she's at Dannemora Federal Credit Union, enjoying herself, working with folks in the area on
Sure.
all of the various loans that you can acquire. And then, of course, my daughter's Grace is, oh gosh, it's hard to think that she's 18 at Marist, at McGill, another M.
Wow.
And then Tegan, Tegan's over here at the high school, PHS, doing a nice job as a student, and just finished her soccer season.
Did she also do like the balance beam, or what is her event? And
Yeah, both of my ladies started off in gymnastics.
Okay,
up
yeah.
at Trudeau's
I thought-
Gymnastics Center, and they had a great time with that. Grace finished her career as sectional champion, and the girls just
That's amazing.
repeated this year. So she was able to come home from school to witness that. And Tegan started in gymnastics, but she's been a little bit like her father more and bounced around to different sports. So at this point, as a JV, she's just trying some things out. So she's having fun.
And so, you haven't left for any other schools other than you've been at Plattsburgh State, right?
Yes, I had a Division I ask, so I had been at Vermont
Wow.
for 9 years. Yeah, so I left
That's
Plattsburgh
right. Yes,
to Vermont.
I remember
and
that.
In short, now I'm back.
Are you happy to be back?
I'm delighted to be back. I'm excited to be back and to regrow the program after the downturn. We're back on the upside again, and we have a fine recruiting class. Some of Coach Verkey's athletes have been on stage helping us to rebuild. And when I was an athlete, and then he came on as an athlete, Coach Verkey came on as an athlete, and I think he would agree with me that the locals, the Section 7 student athletes, men and women, really were the heartbeat of our program.
Nice.
A lot of the cross-country success that bled into, Verk's All-Americans and national championships and Coach LaPiccolo's All-Americans too, were because of the local gift that we were given, that Coach Lade and I were given.
How would you rate the equipment, the sports equipment? Let's say to UVM was Division I compared to them in some other Division I and some other Division III schools. How would you rate ours at Plattsburgh State?
Yeah, I think we have a Division III style setup now. In the different stops that I've been, or in the different competitions that we've traveled to, it's very uncommon to see an institution have both a formidable NCAA level indoor track along with an NCAA level 400-meter facility with complementary field event areas. And thank goodness Coach Verkey is kind of shaking his head. That's the truth. So in my stops, we've had to wiggle a little bit with some of the training. I've had to borrow high school outdoor tracks quite a bit, and we don't know the difference because when we arrive to practice, the plan is set in place, the motivation from the student athletes is there, and we just go.
Is there, and I don't mean this in a bad, I'm not second guessing anyone because I think Plattsburgh State's number one, but is there any plans on building a track? I mean, and where would it be built? Because I know the present place, there's a problem, I think. Some sort of a problem.
So right now we work together with Plattsburgh High School and share facilities. So Plattsburgh High School will use our facilities for certain athletics, and we'll use the track. So it works really well. There's like a symbiotic relationship.
Yep.
And with the with the class schedules at Plattsburgh State, we're able to go a little bit earlier than when the high school lets out. They go ahead and take the field or the track after us. So it works out pretty well. But to answer your question, yes, the president has been very supportive, Dr. Vignetti. He's been very supportive of the next steps in continuing to upgrade and rebuild
Good.
athletic fields and tracks and so on. So it's in the works, just
Nice.
as was the indoor resurface, and just as the Memorial Hall facility has been completely redone as
Top
you know.
notch. Yeah, everything is really getting
Yeah,
so
it's
much
exciting.
better at
It's
Plattsburgh.
exciting.
The next, can you have a home meet at Plattsburgh High School? Will they allow that?
The only reason why we wouldn't be able to is just because of the proximity of where javelin and pole vault would be
yes.
located.
Yes.
Since Section 10 and 7 do not contest the pole vault at the high school level,
Yeah.
it's tough to be able to stay all together as one. But we have competed and had kind of a battle of the North Country on the indoor facility. So that's been fun, and we're going to re-up that for the third year.
Nice.
And it brings a lot of excitement on campus. The other athletic programs get involved, and they want to see us too, because they know we're there to support them for their games. So it's a great symbiotic relationship.
Nice. I can tell. I did 1 year in high school of indoor track, and I did the long jump, and I couldn't reach the pit, so I quit. It was embarrassing not reaching the pit. So I think one of my buddies is cracking up at that, like I am.
Well, the one gentleman on Plattsburgh State hoops right now, his name is Ike.
Oh yeah.
And Ike comes into the weight room every day with eyes the size of Earth. And Coach, when are you going to have me high jump? And so, to your point, what happens is with sport athletes, when they come out and they've never done track and field before, they want to just run and gun, so to speak. They want to run the fast break down whatever runway it is.
And there's more to it.
And it's just like beef. It's balance, eye, elbow, follow through. You have to learn how to put the rock up into the hoop before you actually shoot the thing, or else you're going to be underhand or throwing it like a baseball. And so the same thing goes with long jump or high jump or triple jump, etc. There has to be a learning progression to that.
Yes.
And that's what Coach Verkey does well with his student athletes, and that's why they're ready to go to college, because they already have the skills necessary. So if I had you, Coach Lacey, we would be jumping, 7 meters. We'd be 23 feet.
I don't know about
Guaranteed.
that. I don't
Guaranteed.
know about that. I've never touched the rim in my life, just to let you know.
Well, that's okay. That's okay.
So, okay, as an athlete, what was your event?
Yeah, I was a unique case based on my background in high school doing all the sports. I mean, we did it all. I mean, growing up, Tom.
Oh, yeah.
And Chris, you too, right? Baseball. I mean, if we had a stick and a ball and six guys, we'd close off right field. And so what was involved with that? There was sprinting. There was some jumping involved. So once I got here to Plattsburgh State, one of the most beautiful schools I'd ever seen on all my visits, and a school that actually wanted me. So I came. Here I am 6 hours away from Oakfield, New York, by Buffalo. I was excited about this place. And I thought to myself, well, geez, I just had a good senior year of varsity basketball. I'm going to try out. So I'll name a couple names. Is Mr. Dennis.
Brent
Dennis.
Yes.
And also Chris Beach.
Yes.
Okay. They were guys around me in that early tryout period, which was called pickup.
Yeah.
So there wasn't even a tryout yet before I knew I wasn't going to make the team. So I cut myself. I remember throwing a alley-oop pass to Noopy.
Oh, yes.
Right, Noopy Snell.
Noopy Snell, man.
Half-court pass, good backspin on it, timed him just right, and he flushed it. But I just couldn't keep up with the speed of Veach or Dennis, and they weren't even the starting point guards.
Yeah. Yep.
So I cut myself, and then a senior from the track and field team saw me lifting and running one day and recruited me to be with Coach Scott Slade on the track and field program. So
and now
it's the best thing I've ever done.
Coach Dennis is the athletic director at Saranac, and Coach Veach is a retired cop in Saratoga.
That's right.
He was a good guy.
Tough defender.
Yes,
excellent
funny too.
ball skill. Yes, hilarious.
Oh yeah.
He would give you the straight face, and then all of a sudden,
I liked him a lot.
he's a great student too.
Word association. Okay, the first thing that comes to your mind when I say these names. Usain Bolt.
Dominator.
Wow. And I'm hoping some of the younger runners can remember this name. Steve Prefontaine.
Probably innovator because of his way of going about his races. I don't ask my athletes to race like he does, but he was a good physiological experiment for the time, and now we've wizened up a little bit and we approach races a little bit differently than he did. But he had the biggest heart for him.
Okay, Carl Lewis.
Just greatness. I mean, it's tough. It's tough in the sport of track and field to do 2 events, and to do them at that level was amazing. And that was probably my curiosity in the sport of track and field, was because of him. And I've talked to him a couple times live, and I always pick on him. I said, Carl, you could still go. Like, you could still set up in the blocks right now. He goes, I try, man, I try. But no, he's a good guy. But
he seemed down to earth.
Yeah, he's a good man.
Okay, Chris Verkey.
Oh, man. Husband, father, coach. I mean, probably one of the greatest, besides the Moffats and Karen Shermans of all time at Plattsburgh State.
I like that answer. Allison Felix. I liked her.
Oh, yeah. What an example. I mean, she has the platform, and I think she uses it properly, and that's what we need. We need ladies and even boys to look up to her and say, if she could do it, so can I, and do it in a healthy manner, which leads to longevity and success.
And we already talked, I was going to say Sydney McLaughlin, and you agreed that with the technology or the improvements of sneakers and tracks and coaching and everything, Chris would beat her by 5 seconds.
Yeah, he's my guy. He's always my guy. Even though I have Jersey roots, and I believe she's born and raised in Jersey, I'd still have to put Verk out there if we juxt the years. It brought her back or moved him forward in time. I've got my man. I got my guy. It would work. We'd figure out hurdles 6, 7, and 8. That's for sure.
What are your goals here at Plattsburgh State? What do you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, good, better, best. I mean, I see all of the student athletes every day.
I know.
I was just telling Mike Howard, our director of athletics, the other day that, Mike, do you realize that I see 7 teams in one day? It's kind of cool.
I bet he was kind of cut off by that a little bit. Was he?
I think he's aware. Yeah, he's aware. He's a great manager, a great leader of people, and but I just try to remind and help to define the different ways of how we're trying to elevate the program, and it's as I said before with local roster. I mean, we still have excellent folks from the area, but it's such a neat roster when I'm trying to learn everyone's names per sport that they're coming from Long Island, Western New York, which of course I'm biased, and if we have a Western New Yorker, I'm giving them the half hug, right? And then also last night on the men's ice hockey cast, Luke is from, I believe, the Yukon Territory. He's the upper Northwest, as far as you could probably come. And then women's basketball has a couple of Scandinavian folks, and so we have this nucleus right now that's very exciting. And I know we can be better, and I know we can be the best.
Eventually, it's going to happen with you. Eventually, without a doubt. People don't realize that we have probably, and I know people are going to say because he's right in front of you, Tom. That's why you're saying it. probably the best track and field coach in New York State. That's really what I really mean that. And so he did coach. Didn't you coach in the Olympics? Were you a volunteer?
No, that's
or?
a different sort of track. That's the ice track. So
okay, sorry
the
on that.
The volunteer piece was
I saw
when
that.
Coach Slade used to have me come out with him to the West Coast when the Olympic trial, when I was young, first getting into the business. And what had influenced that was we would work the practice track, and the athletes, the coaches were more managing at that point. So when the athletes were out on the practice track, we would set up hurdles because we knew what 36 and 42 inches was, and we would rake the pits, or we hustled the pull-up poles onto the competition area. And I met Stacy Dragila, and I didn't touch her pull-up poles, by the way. But so some of the greatest athletes from that era, I was able to rub elbows and shoulders. And what an inspiration and what a learning period that was.
Yeah.
So not to be confused with the ice and the summer side hustle, so to speak. But yeah, I've been to South Korea. I guess I'll let the cat out of the bag. I'm looking to make it to Milano.
Wow.
Cortina, yes, in 2026. My main athlete, who I actually write for, speed and weight room wise, she just competed this morning in Beijing.
Okay, wait.
In World Cup.
No, Milano, is that where the Olympics?
So sorry, backing up. The 2026 games will be hosted by Milano in Italy. So
didn't even know that.
Cortina is just the track host, the luge, bobsled, and skeleton track.
Mm-hmm. I always ask this question: your favorite sports movie, and I like to get Chris on that too. After
it's got to be Jimmy Chitwood. It's got to be the picket fence. Hoosiers just. I mean, if anyone can find that in archives or whatever streaming service, what have you, has that guy.
People have to watch that movie
you must
if
watch
you haven't
Jimmy
seen
Chitwood.
Chris,
Picket fence.
Well, just say it and I'll tell it what it is. He's having trouble too. Thinking of one. There's so many out there. I could tell you my favorite is Varsity Blues. For some reason, I really like that movie. But there's so many, so you don't really have to you don't have to answer that. So, but there's a ton of them out there, though.
Sure.
So next, moving forward for both you guys is just getting ready for the season, and it's going to be exciting. I'm going to try to make some meets, and I'm always loved track and field. How do you watch 2 or 3 events at one time? Because sometimes that happens. I mean, there's so many things to do. Like all of a sudden you got one event going, and then your person wins. You got to get over to them, and it is so tough out there.
Well, I probably could speak for you, Coach Verkey, is that we're fortunate to have good help. I mean, our assistants are great. For my example, I have Deanna Zak. She was my most improved last year, and she helps me with the sprinters. And I'll be working with the jumpers in practice and turn around trying to get to the sprinters, and I don't have to worry about it because Deanna's over there doing a nice job and putting in the fundamental pieces that are needed to help these, especially the first years. So yeah, I mean, we're only as good as our assistant support staff. So
that's great to know. Okay, a couple things before I let these guys go. Non track and field stuff. Chris Conowitz, who you guys might know, John Conowitz was his dad, and he ran a Alzheimer's tournament and raised a ton of money, and every school got, I think, like $500 scholarship, a male and a female. And he wanted me to just say the announcement for the 14th annual tournament kicking off with the girls on December 5th and 6th. And that would be, let's see, the girls is at Bocat Valley. The boys will be in El Sable. And if you want to watch or see anything on that, there's detail on John and Judy's Alzheimer's tournament Facebook page. All right. We know Alzheimer's is a very tough disease, and I think every one of us, it's hit our families in some way. Yeah, and let's see, any parting words for you guys? Anything you want to say before we head out? Okay. Chris Verkey said thank you very much, and
yeah, everybody keep moving out there.
Okay.
Run, jump, throw. Be a champion.
Oh, I got one question for you,
Okay.
Coach Willmott, before you leave. I don't think Jasmine Piper really performed as well as she should have. I know she's listening right now because she told me. Anything you want to say to her right now?
Jasmine, I'm not going there because in the hierarchy of things, I'm just the assistant. You're the associate. I'm going to do whatever it is you ask me to do in our next camp opportunity. So I defer to Coach Lacey on that one.
She's such a wonderful person.
Yeah.
I'm sure
absolutely.
she's laughing about that.
Yeah,
and
great athlete for us.
She's going to be a physician's assistant, and hopefully in Plattsburgh. But we'll see. But okay, well, thank you everyone, and you guys have a great day and have a great year too. Okay, all right. Take care.
Thanks for having us.
All right, that'll be it for the show.
You've been listening to the Tom Lacey Sports Show here on Hometown Radio WIRY. Join us again next week for another great show.